Comedy Hour, 93.3 CFMU.
.3 CFMU Redefining Radio. This is the Hamilton Comedy Hour. My name's Jordon Schere. As always, don't forget to follow the station on Twitter at 93.3 CFMU and follow me on Twitter at Jordon Schere for updates on the show, comedy gigs in mainly Hamilton, and jokes, funny jokes. And don't forget to support the guests on the show. Today we're talking with Gavin Stevens, and you can follow him on Twitter at Gavin B. Stevens with a PH. And Pat Coppolino is going to be in later, and you can follow him at Pat Coppolino. Today I wanted to talk about let me turn this trippy acid trip song on. I don't know. It's bad. It's not good. I did not enjoy that song. That was, if you want to listen to that, that's Dell's Black Salad EP, Sell by Date.
Dell?
Dell, yeah.
The Funky Homo Sapien?
No, it's Dell's. It's not. I like Dell, the Funky Homo
love
Sapien.
Dell.
Yeah, Deltron 3030.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Should have started with that. That's what I was looking for, something like that.
Who was the other guy? It was Deltron. There was like this whole genre. There was another guy that was
Dan the Automator.
But there was, what's his name? He's like weird as hell. Weird hip hop. He was great too. I forget his name.
Weird hip hop.
Yeah, it was like from the late, early 2000s. Oh, what's his name? Hey, we're just gonna waste time.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, yeah.
Anyway, Well, anyway, that song I just played sucks. So, I was looking for something Deltron 3030-esque.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, that's a good. That's a great, great thing. Anyway, I wanted to talk today about just the difference between older generations of comedy and. One second here. Older generations of comedy and my generation of comedy, which seems to think that being like infantilized is hilarious nowadays.
And again, this is gonna be general. We're being general.
Yeah, it's hard to objectively say this because obviously there's going to be dopes who are like, but this guy doesn't do, and it's like, come on, man. We're not talking about everybody in the world.
Yeah,
it's just like a generalization.
Yeah.
We're basically being racist against comedians right now.
Wow.
We're generalizing.
Is ageist?
Ageist,
ageist.
Yeah. We're going to be ageist.
Ageist. I don't think your generation's bad comics. I think there's a lot of emphasis on being pretty more than ever. Which
is weird because like Jim Norton always says, comedy and sex don't go hand in sexy.
They don't.
Yeah, you can't be sexy and be a comedian.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I watched that video on trial. You guys came over.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop watching it. I've never watched it before, and it's just like, everyone looks exactly the same, and they all sound the same.
Well, like me and Mace Gloney, we were sitting there on Gavin's couch watching Video on Trial. We came over the other night to do a podcast, and they did that Kesha Die Young music video, and I was like, how many of them are going to say, me and Mace started counting, how many of them were going to say, I hope Kesha dies young, or make some sort of reference to Kesha dying young.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the easiest angles that people take nowadays.
Well, I hear it's very scripted now. That show.
Really?
But like, I think if I was on it, I'd be like, oh, yes, this video sucks, and that's all you have to say on it. Yeah, they're soft targets, really.
You know, it'd be funny though. I was thinking about it when we were watching it. If you got on there and you're like, I really like this video.
Yeah, that's a good video.
Yeah, you're like, this is awesome. Why are we making fun of this video?
Well, like if you look at it, like, it's like, okay, I'm making fun of Kesha, but Kesha's not pretending to be anything else but Kesha. Like, she's not trying to make like music that's gonna change the world. She's doing what she does. So technically, it is a good video. Yeah, it is a good song. It's not my music, but it's a good song for what it is.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to listen to that type of stuff, you go to Kesha. The thing about that is, she's like, the one girl was like the awkward girl comedian. Watch out, you know? She was like, Kesha's not even attractive, and I was like, what?
You can't say that.
What?
Yeah, if you're not attractive, you can't say someone's not attractive.
Yeah, I was like, did you see her? Because Kesha actually is really hot.
And it's like, why are you being superficial?
Yeah.
Was she the attractive one or unattractive one?
The one that said that?
Yeah.
She was not that attractive. She was okay.
Okay.
Yeah, she was okay.
Okay. Yeah, especially as a woman. Like, and you're like, that's a big thing in comedy right now. People are complaining about how women are there. Someone wrote an article recently about the women in Canadian comedy, how the big ones have to be unattractive to get laughs.
Yeah.
And everyone's just up in arms about it. But it is true.
Definitely.
It is. It's not like it is true. The big names in Canadian comedy that are women play up the fact that they're not attractive.
They play up. They all talk about the same things.
Yeah.
It's like, so my boyfriend did this thing that's dysfunctional.
Or I can't get a date.
Yeah.
I'm alone again on Friday night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm having my period.
Yeah.
And then, but they all have like this formula for their jokes.
Yeah.
Where it goes, so the other day I was having my period with my dysfunctional boyfriend. Awkward!
I worked with a comic like that out. I was in Vancouver, and I swear to God, every joke that she did was like sing-songy. Like there was no joke. It was just like, "Running me, I'm putting my butt in your face." Like it was all that stuff, and I was just like, "Wow, this is garbage."
Yeah, just stop
it.
it.
Super level.
Oh man.
And then her best joke was like pooing, something about pooing on something.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Not that talking about pooing is wrong.
Depending on the way you talk about pooing.
Yeah.
When you're like, so I took a poo the other day. Took a poo. Awkward. Like, exactly. It's too sing-songy and just like, it's just,
and then all the dudes on Video Chat were like, I'm blah, 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 blah. It's just like, oh God. And they all look like, they got that fake nerd look with the bow ties and stuff. It's just like.
They've got two different types of dudes on there. They've got the jacked guys who are like, just like, they're good-looking guys. They're jacked.
Yeah.
They're jocks. Yeah. And then you have gay guys.
Yeah.
Those are the two types of guys.
Whether they're gay or not, but they're just very neat and they're very like, they're coiffed and they got the hipster mustaches and the perfect neat dude. And it's like, that's not. Like I understand there are comics like that, but you can't if all the comics are like that, like.
But that's where comedy's starting to go now. Yeah. Is that everybody's like, it's more about style than it is about content.
It's like a boy band. It's all boy band. It's like what happened to things people say?
What happened to those? Like we were talking about this before we came on. What happened to those comics that were like? You'd be talking about something like, what are you, a douchebag? And they like call you out on your stuff. Like everyone's so like it's weird. They're not like they're willing to sell their values so fast.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like it's like they can have like a joke on stage, and if they take like a hard angle on it and one person gives them resistance, they'll sell their values like that.
Back away.
That's nothing for them.
Well, killing's more important than and saying some, like, when you say values and saying something, like, I just, like, you don't have to be, Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Like, Jim Gaffigan's a brilliant comic.
Oh, I love Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah,
I think he's hilarious.
It's just selling what you think is funny.
Yeah, and there's not enough, I feel like nobody's real anymore. I feel like it's all, like, the show, it's a lot of show. Well, and a lot of business.
There is a lot of, there are comics who are real, but there's a lot of, they're just so coiffed.
Yeah.
They're just so perfectly dressed. I feel so out of place now. Like I'm I'm disgusting.
Yeah.
I feel like a toad. It's just like you go to some of these places and you're like, oh my God, they're so and their jokes are perfect. Everything's just like, there's no mistakes. There's no roughness.
They put on their comedy shirt.
Yeah.
Their wacky comedy shirt.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't dress up for your shows and stuff. I'm just saying that there's no soul behind these people.
No, it's following a crowd.
Yeah, they're models.
Yeah,
they're all or actors who are doing comedy.
It's not trying to forge a new path in comedy or say something that you think people can relate to or maybe make people's lives a little bit better, their crappy Hamilton lives a little bit better.
It's just surviving.
Yeah. It's going up there and following what everybody else is doing. And that's what I'm talking about too with the like infantilization of comedy. Mm-hmm. It went from being like where it used to be funny to have immense confidence where you should not have any confidence.
Yeah.
Like I take Ghostbusters and Peter Venkman for example. Like he has so much confidence.
Yeah.
And he works at like this crappy he doesn't know what he's doing, but he has all this confidence behind it.
Yeah.
And now it's like when you watch a movie, it's like Seth Rogen who's like, "Ooh, I don't know if I should have a baby." It's changed from like we need to be nurtured to we need to take on the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like stand-up's sort of taking that route too, where it's like everybody's doing this like, "Ooh, I'm wacky. Look at me. I have a funny shirt on." And it's like, yeah, exactly. And it's like they're all doing this like material and they're all categorizing themselves, but it's like, why don't you guys take a step back, be human beings for once? Like be like and they're like, oh man, I hate the man. I hate people who are superficial douchebags. It's like, but you're being just as much of a superficial douchebag.
It's more interesting to hear someone talk about how they are a superficial douchebag than to hear you. It's a lot of going after. It's all like outsider.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's always like whenever they talk about themselves, it's very light. It's always like, oh, I could relate to this A, B, and C, but it's always, it's when they're always attacking as opposed to like, well, I'm messed up too.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that. And then but when you are willing to openly say to the audience, listen guys, I'm messed up. I don't know where I am.
Yeah.
I'm 20 years old. I don't even know what music I like yet.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. It's like they can relate to that. Even if they have different experience, they can still relate to it and find it funny.
I think the audience I think audience has gotten smarter.
Yeah.
I just think the comedy industry, and I'm not the whole comedy industry again, but I think a lot of it has become homogenized.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's easier to sell like, oh, there's a category. It's easier to sell a category.
Yeah, it is. They just, I don't know. I feel like the landscape now is just like, well, just follow in line.
Yeah.
It's not like, be a leader.
Yeah.
The world sort of prepares us to be anti-leader though.
Yeah.
Like society sort of forges you to be anti-leader. They want to swat those people down.
Yeah, no. Only a few make it through, and then some of them get shot. Well, they used to get shot. Yeah. Now they know how to like ruin a career.
Yeah.
Ruin people pretty easily. Yeah, you're taught just to follow.
Yeah.
Don't stand up.
Don't do anything. Like that's when I've never had this adversity, but like parents and stuff who tell their kids, well, you can try comedy, but you should probably get a real job too. I never had that, but like that's like why? Like
because they're worried. They're worried about their kids, and then also it's like, well, are you funny enough?
Yeah.
Are you being realistic?
Yeah.
Like I understand when a parent says that, but like, yeah, I get that comes from love.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're
I
probably
get
right.
that. But then like you have as you get older, you start realizing, especially with show business, it's not funny. It's not about funny.
Yeah.
It's about how can we sell you, and where can we sell you, and it's easier to sell you if you are like the next guy. It's pretty much Walmart. It's like McDonald's. You know, you go in any McDonald's, and this is not in general. I think this is more a Canadian thing.
Yeah.
You go into any you go into any McDonald's and the Big Mac's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what a lot of it is.
That's what they want.
Well, I've had conversations with club owners like, but the guy we had here last week does it this way. Why can't you do it like that?
Oh man,
It's
really?
like, yeah, who wants to see the same thing every week?
Yeah, and it's like it's so frustrating because it's like going up to like I'm being elitist right now, but like that's like going up to Van Gogh and being like, actually, you know how you did the swirls? Maybe just do straight lines. Just do straight lines.
I would say my comedy is like Van Gogh's.
Yeah, I would say I'm on the same level as Beethoven with my comedy.
Well,
yeah.
I make you want to cut your ear off.
Yeah.
When you hear me tell jokes. You just want to slice your ear off. And then I autograph it. I sign your bloody stump of an ear where it used to be.
Just tattoo your name into it.
This is with a branding iron. Just so you remember. And it says it has my Twitter handle on it.
This is Gav Steves.
Yeah, Gav Steves. I couldn't get. You know how expensive it is to get a full branding iron with your full name. That is a lot of money. I don't have that kind of cash.
And that's small too. It's hard to fit it onto a decrepit ear.
On the ear, just branded. It cauterizes the wound too. So like I'm helping.
That's true too. Yeah,
and it's not all negative.
I have a couple Gav Steve brands, the early ones branded on my back, just tester runs.
We were experimenting with different logos. Smoking Skull, Bunny. There was a lot of them.
The Playboy Bunny.
The Playboy Bunny.
Yeah. How many people regret getting that as a tattoo?
Oh, I saw a girl like years ago that had that, and I told her, I'm like, that's not going to end up well.
No.
You know that.
That's not going to be it.
Why would you get a logo tattoo like Nike logos and that's just what is wrong with you?
That is a poor decision.
It's a horrible decision,
especially when you get like a Playboy bunny or something. Cause that's trashy.
Yeah, it is.
You're pure trash with that.
Because I want to be in Playboy. Like, how's that a goal?
Yeah. Or it's like I could see if a girl got a Playboy bunny tattoo or something if she was in Playboy.
Yeah.
Like that would be that makes sense.
But they never do. Playboy bunnies don't get Playboy bunny tattoo, do they?
No, because it's trashy. It's
Yeah.
like it's trailer trash to get it.
Yeah.
It's white trash.
It's I'm going to be in Playboy.
Yeah.
The sexiest comedian in the world wanted to be in Playboy.
Really?
Yeah, she said she was going to be in Playboy.
But she didn't. She just
Never happened.
no.
Yeah.
So that's like that summarizes. Is she Canadian?
Yep.
That summarizes Canadian comedy as well because
Yeah.
it's like I really want to be an actor, so I'm going to do stand up because it's easy.
It's good. Yeah, I just need a couple of jokes. That's all I need.
And it's like I don't even have to write them; I'll just steal them.
You see guys that like work on the same joke, like just the wording. Yeah, I'll just take them.
I'll just the easy angle drives me absolutely crazy.
Well, that's what I also noticed. It's like guys are like, not to be elitist, but like I guess we are being elitist, but
Yeah, well,
on some level, whatever.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it too. But like there's a lot of guys who are headliners now, who, and I'm not saying they don't have the skills, but like, it's like I deserve this. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know why this hasn't come along sooner.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you don't really have the chops, but you don't really need the chops anymore. Like, to be funnier on stage now, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's just so much easier. Feels like the standards have been lowered.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like the standards have been lowered for everything.
Yeah. I think so. I agree with you.
I feel like we're just giving up.
Yeah, as a society, we're slowly, it's our death roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's our death rattle. Is that, yeah, death rattle.
We're going to be like one of those really, like in a couple hundred years, we're going to be one of those really slummy civilizations of like sex shops on every corner, and everybody's just like all like just drinking and going to sex shops all the time. Like I feel like we're headed towards that.
But yeah, we're gonna be. Yeah, it's gonna be Blade Runner for sure.
Yeah, that's
gonna
what I'm
be
looking
like,
for.
yeah.
That's what I was looking for.
If you keep putting that image out there of that kind of dystopian future, it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
We're gonna be that. We're gonna be that. Slummy, dirty, raining all the time, garbage.
Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, neon lights everywhere. Yeah, post-apocalyptic. Just
Kids living in garbage, garbage cans.
People, it's slummy, just overcrowded.
Everyone carries shotguns.
yeah, exactly. Garbage trucks just parked randomly and floating cars that barely work. And it's going to be that.
Yeah.
That's what my worry is, getting a floating car.
Yeah.
Because I've only had one new car. I know my floating car is going to be hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to drive, I think. Like people are like, but there's so much more room, but it's like, but it's so much more of an accident.
Yeah. And crashing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like if you hit somebody and then your car, or you're driving up in the air.
Yeah.
I don't know how high they're going to, I'm not a scientist.
Well,
I don't know how high.
In Blade Runner, they go pretty high, but I think it's only the cops in Blade Runner that have flying cars. But then you look at like something like Star Wars. Everyone had ships.
Yeah, exactly.
On Coruscant, right?
Yeah, and they're like convertibles and stuff.
Exactly.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
Like imagine your car stalling and you just go straight beeline down.
And that's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's like an Acme, what's his name? Roadrunner.
Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna be a fall like that.
Yeah, you're gonna hover for a bit as your car drops, and then you're gonna go, and then there's gonna be smoke.
Like you said last night, your bow tie's gonna be spinning.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Bow tie spins.
Oh no!
And then there's gonna be rocket packs too.
Would you rather do a rocket pack or would you rather do a floating car?
Rocket pack kind of scares me, but they both kind of scare me.
Yeah,
because you got this thing on your back that could explode.
Yeah, I feel like there would be a lot more malfunctions in the rocket pack.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a lot more dangerous, but I also feel like you could have more control in a sense.
True.
Yeah.
It's only you too. I think also it's at this point, once you start getting into flying anything, you just have to let go.
Yeah.
You just got to go, okay, something could happen, but I'll let go.
Think about how easy it would be to commit suicide with a jetpack.
Yeah, people would do it all the time.
Right into a mountain.
Yeah. Or a building.
Yeah.
I picture people flying through buildings, like at office buildings when they're working. Remember how the Hulk ran through?
Yeah, papers flying everywhere.
And people jumping out. Oh my god!
Yeah. I could see that.
That's what I didn't understand about the Avengers. The place is under attack by giant monsters, and there's people still at work.
Yeah.
Like, how important is your job? Like, you're still working?
How important is your data management job that you can't leave?
It takes the Hulk to run through your office for you to go, you know what? I should go home and see my kids.
Yeah.
I got
And what's the government doing? They didn't evacuate anybody?
Seriously.
They knew that was coming.
They're destroying buildings.
Like, nah, they're good. We got through 9/11. Trust me, we're going to get through this.
You know,
too.
we should just fire a missile at the whole city.
Yeah.
Evacuate.
Nuke it. It'll be fine.
Then I got to call people. It's just too much. Just nuke the whole thing. We'll pretend it didn't happen. Just ignore it.
That's pretty much where it's coming with comedy too. It's just everyone's phoning it in.
Oh, I like how you switched this. Right?
You like that? I brought that back.
I like that.
I brought that back. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go way off topic.
No, I did too. I was talking about killing yourself with a jetpack. That just happened.
Which is a great way to kill yourself. Yeah, everyone's going back to
Well, I think it's just
everyone's worried about making it.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah.
Too much. They put too much emphasis on small shows.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, you should just be going up there and having fun and just trying material and stuff. But they it's like, this is going to make me or break me. It's weird.
I think social media caused this. Mm-hmm. Because it's like...
I agree.
It's like, okay, well, you have all the power in your hands to be big.
Yeah.
And that's the illusion everyone has. And so it's like everyone's put so much effort into... I got to promote my own shows, I got to be a comedian, and I got to do social media.
Yeah. And everyone hears about YouTube celebrities, but they don't hear about the fact that those YouTube celebrities had rich parents before and stuff like that. They don't hear about that stuff. No. Not to mention the identity crisis that the stand-up comedy world is being rocked by, in my opinion.
What is it?
Just this whole identity crisis of people copying other people and people like trying to fit more into a style than content. Yeah. That might be just like my opinion. I don't know, but like I feel like that's really rocking the stand-up world in my eyes, and I feel like that's caused by the generational aspect of Facebook.
Yeah,
because like my generation is hooked on Facebook. Like we are the Facebook generation.
Yeah,
and it's like for that we're sitting on Facebook all day.
Yeah,
projecting these identities.
Yeah.
And then when we get out on stage and it's like, well, I can't live up to this identity because I don't remember where my identity crossed with Facebook and who I really am. And then they get up on stage and they're so confused about who they are and what the world is that they go up on stage and they try to do shticks.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's pathetic. And you can see what they're doing. You can see that they're fake and phony and they're not just saying anything real or being real about anything or letting the audience in.
My Facebook is like yours. There's a lot of comedians, and a lot of them are trying to be important to other comedians. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of them are trying to be like, say their authority. This is how a real comedian should be.
Yeah.
This is how things should be. It's a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then everyone's arguing. Everyone's like really important and trying to force this. I'm a real blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wow, I've never had that argument coming up as a comic.
Yeah, everybody wants to be famous now. Everybody has a voice now.
Yeah, I never had that where... And then you watch them on stage and you're like, what are you doing? You're like so worried about being a real comedian in the cyber world. That's old. In Lawnmower Man cyber world. And that you completely neglected what you're doing on stage.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're doing jokes about when I was your age, my joke, and it's like that's just so hacky.
Yeah.
But online, you seem like you're this authority on what comedy is.
Yeah, exactly. It's more show and business. It's more show than business.
Well, anyone that acts like that is just, they're not doing anything good on stage.
Yeah.
Their stuff is just like, but it gets laughs. You know what I mean? I think if the audience can do it, you're not doing your job.
Yeah.
If the audience can do what you're doing, you're not really doing your job.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get that line between like where you start to accept yourself as a good comedian, have confidence in your material.
Yeah.
Like that's important too. But I feel like a lot of people have confidence for the wrong reasons in their material.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Like for me, it's been like doing comedy for about 3 years. Just like the past 3 months, I've had confidence in my material. That's it. If you asked me any time before this if I was funny or if I was a good comic, I'd say no.
Yeah.
But if you asked me now, I'd be like, yeah, I'm a good comic. Like I feel like I can do it. But I feel like they get up on stage and they take easy angles on things.
Yeah.
Like angles that everybody can take.
Yeah.
And then it's so phony. You know exactly what you're going to hear.
Yeah.
You see a girl comedian, you're going to hear about this and this and this. You see a young 20-year-old comedian, you're going to hear about, like you said last night, taking the bus.
Yeah.
You're going to hear about like maybe the one time they went on an airplane.
Yeah.
Or like, my dad's so crazy. Like, you're going to hear all those things because they don't.
Comedian, how their parents talk weird and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Yeah, exactly. And I feel like they have so much immense confidence in what they're doing.
Yeah.
For no reason. It's like they're part of a bigger force where they're like I was saying before, they're just they leech onto sharks.
Yeah.
Like they're those little fish that just leech onto sharks. And then collectively they're a bigger force. So they get confidence behind their force. And then when you're forging your own path, you're trying to do material nobody's done. You're trying to do weird things and make everybody like think about things differently. And I feel like that's harder to get confidence in because people are going to go against you.
Because you don't fit into like when Olsen and I talk about it, is like we were saying how we feel like it's like a whole bunch of comics, like the story with the dude telling him how to do comedy. It's like a whole bunch of comics who are like the popular kids in school. And if you're not doing it this way, you're the weirdo that smokes out in the parking lot. And they're just like that's how we feel. It's like we're those weirdos. Yeah. And they're which it defies what comedy is like if you're doing what everybody else does. Yeah. It's like, well, you're not doing what everyone. We're all doing it this way. Why aren't you doing it this way? Like the edgy Fonzie jacket. I was almost swore, but I didn't. I caught myself. I almost swore it a few times. But yeah, it's exactly what you're saying. It's like, yeah, it's that. It's I think being that is more accepted, and there's no comedy police. There's no real comedy police. Yeah. There's no one going, okay, well, you know what? Don't do that stuff. You're better than that. You can change this. You can do this. Yeah. It's more like, okay, I'm going to tell people who I think are lower on the ladder than me how to do comedy because I just need to justify my position in the scene. Yeah. But the guys that are higher than me that are doing the same thing that this guy's doing, I'm going to praise. Yeah, exactly. That's what's going on. It's high school. And the best thing that's helped me out in my like comedy and stuff like that is I have people like you and Mace, especially, that when I do a bit, yeah, you guys will be like, yeah, I didn't find it that funny. Yeah, yeah. Like you'll openly like, yeah, it wasn't that good. You could do better. And I'll say that to Mace too. Like, he'll be like, "What did you think of this bit?" And I'll be like, "I didn't really like it." Well, that's why you need crews, like, because all of the other stuff, all those people are political. Yeah. Whereas, like, you're just getting honest answers from people trying to help you. Everybody else is being political. Yeah, yeah. How can this guy give me a show? I loved your new bit about socks. And you're only as good as what you're doing outside of comedy, outside of stand-up. That's how good you are. Yeah. I've seen a lot of guys where I'm like, really? The guy's doing a 10-minute Arnold Schwarzenegger bit. Yeah. You're doing a 10-minute Arnold Schwarzenegger bit? It's not the 80s, man. And these are people who are like on top of the game. Yeah. Here. Like, really, like everyone does an Arnold Schwarzenegger bit. Yeah. Yeah. It's just common. Just I find like there's a lot of guys too that I've like noticed around now. Not specifically in Hamilton. I'm not saying anywhere specifically. I'm just saying I've seen comics who've done this, just for anybody who's like, this guy's calling people out in Hamilton. No, I'm not. I'm just saying that I've seen a lot of comedy. I've seen comics. And it seems like a lot of them are like, if you know a lot about comedy or you grew up as a comedy fan, yeah, there's this weird mentality that comics get of like, when you see a comic, you go, okay, that guy's angry or really insecure. And you can tell. Yeah, yeah. But then, I have my favorite comics are all guys that you can tell their comedy comes from hate, cynicism, insecurity, anger. And then there's a lot of comics who are like, it's like, dude, you probably had like an awesome life. Yeah. Like they're good looking. Yeah. They're like, they dress super nice. They follow fashion trends, like you were saying. They're like, they're just people who have always been popular. Yeah. It's always been easy for them to get what they want, and they just go with the grain. Well, yeah. Sorry, continue your thought. No, I was just saying, like, for me, I watch those comics, and my first thought of them is, like, you're a guy that comics 20 years ago would have been, like, making fun of on stage. That's why when there was a few of those guys that came in who were actually funny. Yeah. You're like, oh, that guy's funny. Yeah. The problem is, like, the industry was like, oh, those guys can be funny. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, okay, well, we want everyone to be like, because even Sarah Silverman, true. Sarah Silverman changed. She's a pretty woman comic who was really funny, had stuff to say, and then every woman comic went up and was like, oh no, I'm really slutty now. Yeah, they completely took what she said and just diluted it to the simplest form. Yeah, like because she does some great stuff. Yeah. And they just took it and diluted it to the simplest form. of what she did and just took, I'm dirty now. I'm slutty, I'm an alcoholic, and I do that. And it's like, okay. And that's what happened was you had a few of them. I'm not saying Sarah Silverman's in that category, but she is a pretty comic. Yeah. But she does have problems. She does have, you had a few of them that came off like what you were talking about, those comics who they seemed like they had a good life, but there was depth to them. Yeah. There was actually skills to what they did. And now what happened was everyone's like, I don't need to have, I should be pretty and I don't need to have an amazing act. I can have a good act. Yeah. I can be a good comic. I don't need to be, and I don't have to be that deep. Yeah. Yeah, it's just I don't have to have substance. Yeah, and like a lot of people don't anymore. And they don't even consider that aspect of it. But like that someone's saying how like nobody knows what satire is anymore. They can't see it. Yeah. It's a generation that's lost that. And that's the thing about Sarah Silverman. A lot of people I don't like her cuz she does this or I like her cuz she's dirty. And it's like no, she was doing satire. Yeah. She was actually making fun of a character that she was playing, which was herself, but she was making fun of that. Yeah. It's deeper than what you think it is, but you're not looking for the depth. It's like that's the difference between like the common mainstream audience and then like intelligent people. Yeah. Because like when people watch shows like South Park, for example, and they watch it and they take it the main difference between people who are intelligent and people who aren't is that intelligent people don't take things at face value. Yeah. So even when I'm watching a stand-up act, it's like you're still sort of critiquing the themes and the elements in the stand-up act because there is tons of them, and it's not easy. You're looking for more. Yeah, it's not like the funny thing. Oh man, when people you go, like, what do you do? Oh, I do stand-up. Yeah. How do you get up on stage and just think of all those things? How does that happen? It doesn't. No. Like I write out my jokes and then I say them. Or like somebody comes up to you after a show. I saw you the other day and you did the same jokes. I don't understand why. Well, it's like, sorry, yeah. It's like because these things are. It's like. If you wrote out a movie and you used the first draft of it, it would suck. It would be horrible. Your movie would suck. Well, that like I do a lot of riffing and stuff on stage, but I have a lot of material, and I always find how people think it's so magical to riff, and it's just like you're writing faster. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. But the key is that you have to know how to write first. Yeah, but you can riff like. Your riffing is kind of magical, I'm not gonna lie. But what I mean, it's just writing jokes. That's all it is. And I'm just writing jokes quicker. I know my voice. Yeah. So it's just, they take away I can't find the word, but they take away how important writing is. Mm-hmm. Like that kid last night, we went up and he wanted to riff. Yeah. He wanted to go up, and it's just like you're taking away the importance of writing. Writing doesn't make you less of a comedian. Yeah. You're not better because you write out your material. That doesn't, or because everyone thinks, if you improv, it's just, you're funny. But it's like, writing is so amazing when it's done right. Yeah. And it's harder. Well, riffing when it's done right is hard. It's just as hard as writing. Because there's a lot of lazy riffing. Yeah. But like, writing is, to come up with an idea or a philosophy or tell a story and then to make that happen, make it work and make it pop, it takes a lot of muscles and a lot of training and a lot of work. Like you said, you got to write it, boil it down. That's a hard, like that's not an easy thing to do. So when they take away, a lot of guys want to be natural on stage. It's like, but it takes years to become natural. Yeah, and you're doing one of the most unnatural things ever. Like even talking on like the microphone right now. Yeah. I'm hypersensitive about everything that I say. Yeah. It's like it's a weird thing. It's not natural. I'm not sitting here all relaxed, chilling. Yeah. Like it's a weird, unnatural thing to get up and talk into a microphone where people can hear what you're saying. Yeah. The problem with a lot of the riffers is like they're taking these easy angles because it's instant. So instant, people automatically go, "Oh, that's funny. It's off the top." But it's not all easy angles. It's like you got to challenge yourself with that stuff too. And they're not honest. That's the thing. They're not honest. They're not ready to go into a crowd. They can I say they'll kiss the audience's ass before they'll go call them on their stuff. Yeah. when a guy's being like homophobic or a guy's being a misogynist or whatever, they won't call him on that stuff.
Yeah.
They'll go with it. So they're not really doing good riffing, or they're not improvising with ideas on stage where it challenges the audience and I got to make it work.
Yeah.
They're just like, okay, let me go with the easiest route. And if you're just taking easy routes with it and you're doing improv, then that's why people look at riffing as cheap.
Yeah.
Cheap and easy, because the guys that do it, a lot of them there's no risk to it.
Yeah.
Except that it might not get a laugh.
There was a really funny scene in Louis.
Yeah.
When his niece comes to stay with him in New York for a little bit.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, you're a comedian. I want to come watch your act."
Yeah.
And so he eventually takes her. And then another comic's on stage. I don't even know who he is. Is it Godfrey?
Yeah,
okay,
Godfrey.
yeah, okay. And he's riffing with the audience, and then she goes, "Oh, he's so funny." And then Louis like, "Oh, he's just doing crowd work. That's easy." And she's like, "Do you do crowd work?" And he's like, "Not really." And she's like, "Can you do crowd work?" And he's like, "Of course I can." Then he goes up on stage and tries to do crowd work and just bombs horrendously. And then just goes back to his material.
Which is a great point.
That was amazing.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's like, I get that a lot where people are like, oh, all you do is that. And it's like, but can you do it? You know, and they can't. They can't
exactly.
pull it off. It's such a great point for a comic like him to point that out.
Yeah, like a legend.
Yeah, to go, you know what? Like, he can't judge people.
Yeah.
Like that. You can't say it's easy because it's not easy.
Yeah.
None of it's easy. What he does isn't easy.
No, not at all.
And when it's done right, when it's done, like, because you'll see a lot of riffing where it's hack riffing. Where, guys, the worst is when you throw something out there on a night and then, like happened last night, and then 6 or 7 people are doing the same version of that riff throughout the rest of the night.
Yeah, which I did see constantly last night.
It happens all the time.
There was I guess we should set this up for everybody. There was a guy last night. We did a show at the Corktown, which is every Wednesday. That's 175 Young Street. You can come check it out every Wednesday. It's hosted by Patrick Coppolino. And it's a good show. I sometimes I enjoy it. And there was a guy who was heckling really bad last night.
He wasn't a horrible person. He was drunk. The heckling, he was more disruptive than mean.
Yeah, he was he was nice, but he was just, he was very, like, I was having a bad day yesterday too, so when I got on stage, I was kind of like already ready for something.
Yeah.
And I just spent like my entire set just making fun of the guy. And it wasn't even funny. Like, it was just mean. It got just mean and weird. I took it to a weird place. It got like uncomfortable for everybody in the room.
It happens.
Yeah, I took it too far. And, it got weird, but that's a thing. Like, you went up and you addressed the heckler, and you just you got the most laughs last night, easy.
I mean, but like, there are people in the audience that would go, or there'd be comics that go, "Well, that's easy."
Yeah,
it's a simple thing to do.
But they'll never. You notice those guys who say that are never the ones who will go on and try it.
I know a club owner that used to tell me. He told me to work his club, I got to prove that I'm not supposed to talk to the audience for my headline. I have to do complete jokes.
What is with that?
I know, and I do a lot of material.
Yeah.
Like, I don't just talk to the audience. I improv material and I have planned material. So it's not like one-sided thing, but it's like,
but it flows super naturally.
You're cutting my arms off. Like, you're telling me I can't do something that I'm good at.
Yeah.
And then I watched him do a comedy special, and on CTV, his first 10 minutes was this horrible riffing with the audience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like, you're putting this on TV. It was the worst, like, just awkward. It was a lot of, I guess you guys were told not to talk to me. Like, you're saying that on TV.
Oh, really?
Because you're bombing. It's just bad.
Yeah.
And then you realize, you can't do something. That's what the story with Manolis when he got problems, we don't have to get into it. But whenever a comic sits there and volunteers advice and tells you what's wrong with you, most of the time they don't want you to do it because comics are afraid of other comics being natural on stage.
Uh-huh.
That's one of the biggest fears because it's like, you're funnier than me.
Is Patrick still out there?
Yeah, he just got in.
Okay. Patrick Coppolino is walking into the room right now.
Thanks for joining us, Pat.
Hey, Pat.
There's a mic there.
You're on time.
It's too early to have that show at 1.
Yeah, I know. It's 1 o'clock.
How was I supposed to get out of bed for this?
Why? What'd you do last night?
Nothing.
I went to the strip club.
Yeah, you did?
That
You
was
went to
awesome.
strippers.
Did you already talk about it?
No, we haven't talked about. We were just talking about comedy.
We were talking about the guy who was heckling at Corktown last night. Actually,
that guy was awesome.
We were talking about riffing and heckling. Pat does a lot of riffing too.
Yeah, definitely.
Pat does frustrating riffing for me. I don't know if I'm the same kind of riffer because I watch Pat. He'll get laughs like crazy, but it's very like laid back. Not that it's laid back. It's like you have a conversation and you let it draw out, and I'm like, just get a fucking laugh. Sorry. Just get a laugh out. But that's my own stuff, right? That's not about you.
Yeah.
That's just me watching go. But then it always leads to something.
What do you mean? You get frustrated when I talk?
I just get frustrated. It's not that I'm like, oh, he shouldn't be doing it.
You just think of how you would deal with it?
It's
kind of thing?
It's that. It's also like, it's that side of me that's like, I know how to do comedy. Do you know what I mean? That's that side of me. Like, you and I had that conversation in the hotel where we talked about that ending bit that you did, that one where I was like, you should put the third one here. Do you remember that bit that you have is like, I show up at the daycare, they're like, whose dad is this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you shouldn't put that one last. And I'm like, and then in my head, I'm like, oh, who the hell am I to tell you how to do that? You know what you're doing. And there's a reason why you're doing stuff. So that's that side of me going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just watching it going. But it always leads to somewhere. And that's probably how people see me too. Where I'm like, they probably look at it going, why is he doing this? What? And then, okay, it leads somewhere.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm not in secure hands, but I'm okay. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing. Because it means that you're not doing something predictable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That guy was funny too because he wanted to stop talking about his girlfriend and he wouldn't admit where she works and stuff like that.
Where does she work?
I found out later that because I made a joke. I was like, "Why won't you tell us? What is she, like a prostitute or something? You don't want to tell us?"
Was she?
No, she's a stripper though.
At Hamilton Strip?
I don't know where.
Ooh.
But she's a stripper.
Ew.
That's why she was working New Year's Eve. He said, and they weren't together.
They got to work on New Year's Eve?
Yeah, I guess.
He came up to me afterwards though, and he was like, he came up to me when I was outside, and he was like, "Oh man, like I'm so sorry that I was heckling during your set. You were really funny. I'm so sorry I was disruptive." And I was like, "I can't be mad at you.
Yeah.
You're just a nice guy. You're just loud."
He was buying rounds of shots for like me
Everybody,
and a couple
yeah.
people.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, I didn't want to take a drink out. But like, you have a thing where you're like, Jordan, where you're like, I didn't do well. And it's like, yeah, you did. You just didn't see it.
Yeah, no, that's my instant negative
yeah.
attitude.
And he was having a bad day
Yeah, you're having a bad day.
that he's not allowed to talk about.
Yeah.
He said he had a bad day, though.
Yeah.
He said he had a bad day.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about it eventually. Don't you worry about that.
Ooh.
So you went to the strip club after Corktown?
Yep.
Who'd you go with? Mace?
Yep.
Mace,
Really?
No, my
Oh,
brother.
that would have been so funny.
Mace drove me home.
Okay.
Because I saw Manolis and you guys were busy.
I was with my brother and that guy, like the cop you brought.
Oh.
Is he a cop?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Military police.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, he's serious.
he's
He's
intense.
more than a cop.
He's intense.
Yeah, he's more than a cop. He's
Yeah.
like super cop.
That's why he's like a detective finding out anybody steals a joke, he's on it.
Yeah, he was talking about the.
That's what he's there for.
Yeah.
He's talking about the last comic.
The kid?
Yeah,
He stole material?
apparently. But
Which ones?
should I say anything? Was I wrong to say something?
Oh, I don't know. The kid's definitely not listening.
Yeah.
His dad almost fought somebody last
Yeah,
night.
he
That was
wanted to fight the
uncomfortable for
heckler guy.
everybody. That was weird.
Should you say anything, what, to the kid?
No, I don't care if the kid steals material.
What did he lift?
I wasn't like I just heard like Family Guy references.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're all like Family Guy jokes.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing something, too. That sounded too familiar.
He's 13 years old.
His dad writes his material.
And his dad's like weird and mean.
Well, he's
Yeah.
like a hockey dad. He
Yeah.
stands
Yeah.
at the back and he watches like a hockey dad and
Yeah.
like, comments, and if somebody's like talking, he like...
Yeah, which he talks through everyone's set.
Yeah, he talks through
Yeah.
everybody else, but when his son's on, he gets mad when other people talk.
And then threatened to
Beat up that guy.
beat up the heckler.
Which is interesting because the kid called the heckler up to the front.
Yeah, he called him... The guy was at the back
Yeah.
minding his own business,
Yeah.
and his son said, "Where's the heckler? Are you still here?
Yeah, bring
Come
him
up to
up."
the front," and he was calling him out.
Yeah.
And then the kid's dad was getting mad that
Yeah.
the heckler was saying stuff.
He was like saying,
It's
I
like
got...
your son asked him to
Yeah.
come up.
He's like, I got steel toe boots.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you going to do? Kick him in the head?
Yeah, roundhouse kicking when you Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse.
Exactly. Your son's in a bar with his friend, and they're like 13, first of all.
The best part was his friend sitting near the front watching, but he was in his pajamas.
I know.
So you could tell they were like, they probably picked him up. It was probably like 9 o'clock because they got there late. So it was probably like 9 when they were knocking on his door. Come to the show. He's I've been sleeping for an hour.
Yeah. Get your fedora. Let's go. The kid had a fedora. I don't like fat kids in fedoras. It's a new TV show.
Fat kids in
fedoras.
Hidden camera show, too.
Instead of toddlers and tiaras.
Fat kids in fedoras. And Jordan made a good point, right? You said that kid's probably funnier than the 13-year-old. Because the 13-year-old kid's like totally Justin Bieber.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to be.
I said the fat kid's probably funnier.
He just doesn't know it.
That kid does too much confidence.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, everybody loved him after the first show, and then even the second time he was at Yuck Yucks, they were like, "Oh, like that's
not everybody loved
him." But people dropped off by the second show, and then by this one, like all the comics were like, "Okay, I've had enough."
Yeah, this is just it bothered me like he was making fun of you.
Yeah, well, he wrote jokes to. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I didn't understand.
I thought that was funny that he put the effort in to try to. He could have. Obviously, he doesn't know better than to like. He could have like played off it and delivered it like it was.
There's no humility in that kid.
But he looks at his paper and goes, "Patrick." So where's Patrick?
Yeah,
and then he goes into his jokes like it was a roast or something.
Yeah. And it's like you put him on stage and stuff, and like
and he just insults me.
Yeah, and you're a 13-year-old kid insulting. Like it's just so there's no humility. Yeah, there's none. There's no humility in that kid.
Well, he feels like he deserves to be there.
Yeah,
but
and he did like what 25 minutes.
Yeah, he was on forever, man.
And it died.
And then we started playing the music, and he was like offended. Like, oh, what are you trying to get me off the stage?
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, you can't do 20 more minutes than you're supposed to.
He's not used to being treated like a comic.
Yeah.
He's not used to being treated like a new comic. And he has to be treated like a new comic.
Like, I understand he's 13 and stuff, but it's just, like, he does have an insane, like, the kid's more confident than I am. I'm 20 years old.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, with comedy, humility is super important. And he definitely does not have any. Like, he's 13, but like
no
empathy,
it's weird no humility, nothing.
Yeah,
it's just Yeah,
I mean, like, I don't know if I had any empathy or humility at 13 either, but I mean, like, I don't know.
But Mace did when he started at 16. He was like, he's still.
I have respect for adults.
Yeah,
like I would be scared, and I'd still be scared. I'd still be like, "Thank you for putting me on." I'd still be a scared kid. Like the whole process would scare me.
I just think he's one of those kids, like we said on the way over here, that he's one of those kids you were nice to in high school, so he wouldn't embarrass you in front of a group of girls.
Yeah,
that's what he comes off like.
He also knows his dad's there.
Yeah, that's a kid that hangs out with a lot of adults.
Yeah,
he hangs out with a lot of adults, mainly probably more adults than kids.
Yeah,
and he could say whatever he wants around adults, and they think it's hilarious when he's dirty and rude. And they indulge him.
Yeah.
It's just,
couldn't believe his dad wanted to, like, saying his dad's like a hockey dad is like the most perfect analogy for him. Because, like, I couldn't believe the dad wanted to fight that guy last night.
Yeah, he was the guy, and he's like, he asked who's his parents. His parents here. That's what he said.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm his dad.
Yeah, he goes, I'm his dad, like, aggressively, instantly. And then the guy's like, maybe you shouldn't have two 13-year-olds in a bar.
Yeah.
Which is a valid point.
But the heckler said this?
Yeah, to the dad.
And the heckler,
that's a valid point.
In the heckler's defense, I thought he was, like, going to be the worst person ever. But he had a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
He rolled with stuff.
Yeah.
He would, like... There were several moments where I'm like, okay, he was disruptive.
He loves the attention.
He loves the attention.
Yeah, as much as he was awful, he did help the show last night. He made it interesting. The comics that could handle him played off him well, like you and Manolis and stuff.
Exactly. He wasn't a bad person. Not enough where a parent would be like, and Dan was like, oh, I wish he... I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you wish him to fight? Like... What's the point?
The best was Dan trying to get him to leave. He's like, all right, who thinks this guy should get out of here? And the audience is like, no.
We kind of like him.
You leave.
Well, Dan did like 5 minutes of just bombing.
Yeah.
Where nobody wanted to hear his jokes. And then, poor Dan. Yeah, I don't know. I guess there's kids like that. I was never raised. I was raised with a healthy sense of I'm not that important.
Yeah.
And just like low self-esteem.
Who? Dan?
No, me.
Oh.
Yeah, I was raised with... That's what I was telling you. Like the year before, that kid's 13, so 12, grade 7. My parents had that surprise party where nobody showed up. And nobody showed up. They threw a surprise party for me and no one was there. Yeah. And then the year after that, I kind of dropped out of kids. Like I was telling you, it was just me and another kid, and we were going to be Ghostbusters. We were actually working on an idea for a proton pack. Because we figured we could trap ghosts with electricity. So I had designs and stuff.
Serious ones.
We weren't joking. So that was it was like, yeah, I dropped out of society.
That was
grade
like
7.
That was your childhood.
That's a grade 7 child. Not even
trying to figure out how to trap ghosts.
It's pre-adolescent, right? It's like it's preteen.
Maybe you were onto something.
I was preteen. I shouldn't have been onto something. I started collecting Joes again at that time. When that happened, I was like I regressed so much.
Yeah. Really? That was like a defining moment in your life, eh?
Yeah, I regressed so much. I was progressing and then I regressed.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I was like that. Like, especially in high school and stuff, I didn't, I was like I had like a close circle of friends, like maybe 3 guys that I actually like hung out with all the time. But like I didn't care about girls or anything. Yeah. Like all of high school, I didn't care if I had a girlfriend. I didn't try to hook up with girls. I didn't care much to party and stuff. I was like making cartoons, animations, and like videos and stuff.
Yeah. That's
what I spent all my time doing.
Yeah, that's high school. I mean, like when I went to 3 different high schools, and when I left military school, I went to Waldorf, and then which is like another school, and that's when I started getting like, okay, you know what? I ditched the whole what I was, and I was like this whole new person.
Yeah,
yeah. So,
yeah, university was like that for me.
That's good. That's a good time to have it like that.
Yeah.
You think like high school's a good time to have it like that, but no. High school sucks.
High school does suck.
High school's horrible. That's why those guys that like they had the best time in high school.
They're doing nothing now.
Yeah, they all have mullets. They have that same look they had back then. They're doing nothing.
Have you like went and hung out with your old high school friends like after a while of not seeing them? Like the guys who just kind of did nothing?
What?
Some of them I do, and like, then every once in a while.
I like went and hung out with a bunch of my friends from high school who like just didn't. They just are still in the same town, just kind of living the same lives as their parents.
Yeah,
and they've not changed a beat since high school. They're the exact same people. Yeah. It's the weirdest thing. Like they literally joke about the same things. I was at a party and like they invited me to a party and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll come out. I'll try it out. Some guy whipped his penis out and started flopping it around at the party, and it was that could be funny, but it was a shed full of like 7 dudes. So that's just gay now.
Yeah,
but there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying,
accept who you are.
Just be real with that.
Yeah.
But like you're talking about like Hagersville.
Yeah.
Those small towns have like this weird gravitational force that like keeps people like. There's very few I've noticed like from the people I know that came from towns like that that actually get out.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like the adults in those towns have lived there their whole lives.
It's just
they
easy.
were born and raised there.
It's easy.
Even if they left to go to school, they all end up coming back.
Is it fear? What is it?
It's definitely fear.
I think it's a bit of that, but I also think, again, I'm just basing this off of, like, I've dated 2 girls that live out there, and I know their parents' situations and stuff like that. I think it's just, like, it's a comfort thing. It's just what they know. Like, growing up in the country with, like, maybe you have some animals and, like, lots of land and stuff like that, and you're just isolated, and they just like that. So when they come to...
a city.
Yeah, like my ex, when she didn't come to Hamilton until she was like 18 years old.
Wow.
So like to actually like spend time and live here, you know, other than coming to the mall and then going back. So like it freaks them out and they're just like, oh, they don't like it. Too many people, too much stuff going on.
I remember talking to guys that coming in from Hamilton to Toronto and just like freaking out how crazy and angry because it's so many people and they didn't want to drive and it's like, what's wrong with you?
What, from Hamilton to Toronto?
Yeah, it's like, what? You're just visiting.
Yeah, it's not that different.
It's not that. It's not. New York is a big change. Like, New York has got way more people. But, like, they come into Toronto and just, like, hate it. Just how dangerous it is. I'm like, Hamilton's more dangerous than Toronto.
I feel safe in Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto's not that dangerous at all.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, Hamilton's way, and they're like, oh, it's so dangerous, and watch out, don't take the subway. And it's like, the subway's so simple.
I think the difference, too, is like when I go to Toronto and like you're in a car or on the bus or something and you just see people everywhere on the streets, like I look at them and I go, oh, like they're all going somewhere. Yeah. They're either going to work or they got something to do. In Hamilton, there's the same thing. There's people walking around, but I'm like, where are you going? You're not going anywhere. And they all move so slow here.
Yeah. And they can't drive.
So slow. But even walking, though, you can't walk through Jackson Square without having to maneuver around 80 people because they're just like sloths. They're just killing time.
And why in Hamilton, when like people are driving on the street, I've noticed in Hamilton, this hasn't happened to me anywhere else. Yeah. People will be driving, there'll be nobody in front of them. They'll just hit their brakes. They'll just start hitting their brakes for no reason. They'll still be driving, no red lights or anything.
Yeah, they just hit the brakes.
Hitting their brakes.
Like
why do they
something?
Yeah, why does that happen in Hamilton?
Like you step close to the sidewalk, or you're just about to step off, and you like stop and like, oh yeah. It's like, no, just keep going. I can go after you. I can jaywalk when you're gone. Yeah, people drive weird here, man.
But
it's just nuts.
But they have people like that. There's tons of jaywalkers and stuff. There's people that just like stroll casually through the middle of the street without looking.
Toronto has that too.
Yeah.
Where you're just like it's a green light. What are you doing?
Yeah. When you're driving with Manolis, it's so funny because it's like he'll point out all these things and you notice. And I don't know if it just seems to happen every time I'm in the car with Manolis.
Manolis is a panic driver.
Yeah, but it's like there's people on walkie-talkies that are following him. They're like, okay, he's coming up on Catherine, and they like send people out to run. Like, if you go from one end of the city to the other, there's like kids scooting by on bikes.
That's their only job.
Yeah.
It's like a Twilight Zone.
Yeah. Truman Show. They're not letting Manolis leave the city.
All right, he's coming up the road. That's funny. Yeah. Did we commandeer? We didn't commandeer, did we? The show? We didn't take over.
No.
Okay.
No, just having...
It's because we were talking about comedy, and then we got into Toronto.
No,
not that anything's wrong.
We also got into killing yourself with a jetpack earlier.
Yeah,
so
we did.
It's kind of been all over the place today.
Yeah.
We are wrapping it up now, though.
Are we?
Right now?
Yeah.
This was fun.
I just got here.
I know, that's not my fault.
Do we have to wrap it up, or can we?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a new show coming on.
Who's Jasmine Richards?
Disney star.
Okay. This is good radio.
We're all thinking
Disney
deeply.
Star at a university.
No, I think she's at somewhere else, but they're advertising here. So because it's a radio. Because it's radio, so they advertise on it. Let me explain how radio works.
When are they going to get Vane from Splat-A-Lot?
That's enough for the
Who's Bane?
Eric Johnson.
Oh.
Vane.
Vane?
The Vane Train, as he calls himself. Eric, if you're listening, which we know you are, go to hell.
He had a pretty racist joke last night. Oh.
I don't want to be an emperor. Sorry. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people, and so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder.
This is a throwdown,
Don't give your
a showdown. Hell no, I can't slow down.
Watermelon,
Throw down,
watermelon,
throw down,
watermelon,
throw down,
watermelon.
throw down. It's gonna go.
First offense.
All the mix. Okay, party people in the house.
May I have your attention, please?
In a moment, the beat will be played in many parts. Many parts. Very.
1, 2, 3.
You're listening to 93.3 CFMU. This is Watermelon Throwdown, and this is the second part of my favorite records of the year. Hope you're having a good New Year.